here at Digital Hollywood Spring 2013 with Menon, who's with her own independent film that's been fully funded with a Kickstarter campaign and has been already released. So tell us a little bit more about the film.
Yeah, we raised actually just our production funds on Kickstarter last April, and we shot the film over the summer, and the film is now complete and had its premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival. It's a road trip comedy about three girls post-college campaigning for John Kerry in 2004. And we had our premiere at Tribeca Film Festival about a week and a half ago, but we have not yet distributed the film, so we haven't released it. But yeah, it's been about a solid year since we raised the money to make the film on Kickstarter.
So Meera, you're the director of this film, and you studied filmmaking in school, so this is your dream and your career. So tell us a little bit about the whole timeline on this, who thought of the story, how long did it take to get that spark going, and how did you get on board? Was it your idea initially, and then how long did it take?
Yeah, I started developing the idea with the co-writer and producer of the film, Laura Good, about 3 years ago, and I was still in graduate school for film out here at USC, and we kind of kicked the script around for about 2 years after that, just like kind of going through various drafts and various versions of it based on what scale of a film we thought we'd eventually be able to actually produce and produce independently. And yeah, the kind of the inspiration for the story idea just came from us being like young women that kind of found our voices in the past decade for like various political moments, and also just wanting to tell like a kind of funny female kind of raunchy sex comedy in a way that we hadn't really seen being done in like a smart and kind of provocative way. So those were the kind of inspirations for telling the story, and then yeah, we knew we wanted to make the film in 2012 because that was going to be the year of a presidential election. We thought we could gain some traction telling a political story in a year where people are already kind of hyper attuned to politics, and so we just crowdfunded and kind of made it happen and just decided to do it. We just were like, we'll set a goal and we'll get as close to it as possible, and whatever we like raise by a certain date, we're going to use that and just make the movie the best movie we can with that money. We're like more dedicated to the timeline of finishing it than necessarily dedicated to any kind of specific production scale.
And one of your co-producers was on a panel that I had last Digital Hollywood, which was about 6 months ago. And the film was already being produced at that time. So in that 3-year timeline, I suspect that was maybe 2.5 years into it. Now, how long did it take them to raise some sort of marketing budget? Do you have to raise the budget for your prints? Are you distributing it digitally? How does this work now?
Honestly, that's all stuff that we're figuring out right now. We just had our premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival, like I said, like a week and a half ago, and we're figuring out the afterlife and the strategy for afterlife of the film like right now. So yeah, that's a question I can better answer hopefully a year from now. But yeah, in terms of where we're raising the money for it, we really feel like we kind of secured or got at least somewhat in touch with somewhat of a like kind of base of people that wanted to see the film through our Kickstarter campaign that raised the production funds. And I think we're just going to kind of develop our strategy from there, just like having at least already a group of people that are interested in the film.
I forget now, how many people invested in it through Kickstarter?
I believe the number is 767 people invested in it through Kickstarter. So, that's I think a solid base of people from which to draw like kind of feedback and just like kind of stay in touch with and get a sense of like what type of people are really interested in this.
And now, as you're trying to distribute and market this film, I suspect you're working on other projects in your portfolio. And what kind of reception are you getting from traditional distribution sources and funding sources? And are you going through Kickstarter crowdfunding?
For our next project, I don't think we'll go through Kickstarter. I think we'll be looking more towards private investors. I still think that we'll be trying to work independently because I think how independently we function as a production team really kind of worked in our favor with this film. We really kind of eventually at the end of the day made a film that we really really wanted to make, and that really speaks to the original message we were trying to send across. But yeah, I mean, it's all kind of really still to be determined in terms of what kind of feedback we're getting from. We will be getting from distributors or potential people that would be interested in helping us put together the next project. All of that stuff is pretty much going to be something that the next phase of what we're focusing on. Because then we just premiered, and not only did we just premiere, we just finished the film. Like I was editing the film like a week before we premiered, so like the actual film was just finished, and so like these questions about what's next and how we're financing what's next and where to go with distribution are things we're literally like talking about and figuring it out as we speak.
And isn't it just fascinating? It's kind of like a social network type story. That here you are, film students, and usually being a film student, I remember being at numerous events at AFI, and I went to UCLA Business School and took a lot of classes at UCLA Film School. It's always sort of like this dream of maybe in the next decade or two getting to work on a film that you can contribute in some way to. And here you guys are just not even finished school. You're able to come out there and tell the story you really want to tell. And, what was it about the Kickstarter campaign that made you not want to go back to it? Because in essence, it launched your career.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we were very committed. I mean, I don't think we were like reinventing the wheel. There have been plenty of models for us in the past few years of micro-budget films that have done really well and served as a launching pad for people's careers. I mean, I think of films like Tiny Furniture and Breaking Upwards, and these films that were made for less than $100,000 that have really launched the careers of those filmmakers. And we kind of looked at those people who are our age and we're like, well, they're doing the smart thing. They're making a film for as like cheaply as they can, and just trying to focus on the story and getting like the heart of the story and trying to craft like a really original, unique story correctly, and not worrying about how much money they're making it for. So I don't think we were necessarily the first to do this. I think that like we've really kind of been falling in line with a model or a new generation of filmmakers that are making films for very little money. So yeah, I mean, I think that Kickstarter was a natural place for us to go to like find that money, because again, like a lot of the people that we were seeing doing it were doing the same thing. So I feel like very like kind of ill-equipped to necessarily take credit for kind of adopting that model, because I feel like we were just following the footsteps of people we admire.
But what's more interesting is that you're not going to go back to that model. I'm questioning the model, and I just want to know why that may be.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason we're not going to go back to that model is because, I mean, the kind of success that we had through Kickstarter required us to really reach out to like everyone we'd ever met in our entire lives, and like kind of tap a lot of resources that we'd had, and I just wouldn't necessarily want to. I mean, who knows? Like 3 to 4 years from now, I might be singing a different tune, but I would like to kind of focus the fundraising strategy in a more concentrated way next time around, because we really kind of like built this film on the backs of like hundreds of well-wishers, like friends and family that like we are going to be forever indebted to, just like for their emotional and financial support of the film. And it's not something I'm necessarily going to ask of these people that I love that are in my life like 6 months after finishing the first one.
And I think that's the main part that I think most people are wrapped around as they look at what you've done with respect to Kickstarter, because they're trying, and other platforms, they're trying to figure out how can they actually launch portfolio projects. And at the end of the day, it is friends and family money. And when you look at traditional venture capital model, you don't really want to you don't have to go back to friends and family the second and the fourth time once you've been successful. So is that kind of the way you're seeing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely what we're seeing.
Well, good luck with your panel. Thank you for sharing this with our audiences, and all the best wishes for your film success.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Terrific. You okay, sweetie? You need? I might have a lozenge.